According to Road Traffic Management Corporation's 2022-23 festive season road safety statistics, Limpopo province recorded a 20.8% reduction in road fatalities. However, Limpopo MEC for Treasurer stated that the year 2023 was not a good start for road safety. The Anglo-American Foundation and Impact Catalyst announced the launch of the Limpopo Road Safety Programme to curb pedestrian and road accidents in the province. Very good afternoon. Now we speak to Dr. Jonathan James. Dr. James, appreciate your time this afternoon. Can you provide more details about the Limpopo Road Safety Programme launched by Anglo-American Foundation and Impact Catalyst?
Excellent. Thank you, Hugo. Thanks very much for having us on the program. Delighted to be sharing the details of this program. The program was launched on the 9th of May and is a collaboration effort between the Office of the Premier, led by the Premier himself, Mr. Matabata, and is funded by the Anglo-American Foundation. The history of this program comes from exactly the intro that you gave earlier, Hugo, the statistics and also the number of incidents and fatalities in the Limpopo province. It's one of the provinces in South Africa with the highest incidence of traffic crashes, and also one of the provinces in South Africa with the highest number of fatalities, particularly in some of the key roads which head to the north of the country. So this program has a strong foundation and a strong need within the province, and is particularly focused on youth and community-based initiatives which will run across the province.
Dr. James, before we look at how the initiative will work, let's talk about why. Why do we have such high numbers of road fatalities in this province, do you think?
Hugo, it's a great question, and I think it's a question that our team are currently working on. So the Impact Catalyst team and the Anglo-American Foundation team is a team assembled with deep experience in the understanding of road traffic crashes and incidents. I think the primary thing that we notice on South African roads is a behavior-based conundrum. I think behavior is one of the key things that we need to address within the South African context. We also need to drive a prevention agenda. We have non-compliance and incidents where people are not complying with our speed limits on the South African roads. So safer and slower speeds are obviously one of the areas that we look specifically at from a prevention perspective. And then we also need to look specifically at how people respond and treat pedestrians, because pedestrian accidents, Hugo, are another area that is particularly impactful in the Limpopo province, where we have people in close proximity to the roadways, and I'm sure many of the viewers would have experienced in their own context areas where pedestrians are interfacing with vehicles and the roadways are fairly narrow. So that's really what the sort of bones of the DNA of this program builds from.
Now, Dr. James, if we look at you as a driver or myself as a driver, obviously when we went to driving school, there were certain things that we were taught, and obviously some of us even go to defensive driving, but there's very little that's taught to pedestrians. So talk to us about that advocacy that you're going to be carrying out, because pedestrians, as you've indicated, make a huge chunk of those that are involved in these accidents.
Excellent example, Hugo. I think we often feel that people post-running their K53 sort of slide into bad habits and bad behavior. So the Schools and Community Program is a major focus for this particular initiative. Through the funding and the grant from the Anglo-American Foundation, we will focus on school-going children through focus programs which are developed with international and local partners. And in addition, we'll focus on the community element. So the frequency of pedestrian-based accidents is a real concern for us, particularly in Limpopo. A lot of it relates, again, to infrastructure, so people are not able to walk in a safe area. They're walking close to the roadway or in the road reserve. So a focus for us is looking at the root cause of each of the incidents. But The school-going children are obviously a target group for us particularly, where we're looking at focus programs, looking at road safety, and also observance of vehicles and the access of vehicles in a particular area. So a very strategic focus for us in this program. We will run across the different districts of Limpopo, and with our partners at Anglo-American Platinum and De Beers right in the north of South Africa, we are looking at piloting community-based and school-based programs, which will also tie in with the Anglo-American Schools Project, where we look specifically at what can be done to enhance the education and the awareness of our school-going children, and also work specifically with our communities, Hugo. So great example that you've given there of how drivers and pedestrians need to interact, and how we need to be clear around the programs that we put in place.
Dr. James, you talked about infrastructure, and I suppose it would also speak to issues around things like speed bumps on the roads and signposting that advises certainly drivers to slow down or certain speed zones. Is it something that's also being taken into account, or are you expecting, or certainly for that community or the municipality, if you will, to put in speed bumps where they can to deal with some of these issues?
Yeah, again, a really important and impactful element of it. We, from a program point of view, look specifically at targeting behavior to start, but the prevention that is based on infrastructure is critical. So one of the elements of the school program will look at access, will look at traffic calming, as you've indicated, the speed bumps and the traffic calming, access to your road reserves, and also the infrastructure that sits around your schools. This has been implemented very successfully in the Mogale City area, where the traffic calming and the road restriction in the road reserve has been successfully implemented in the school district of Mogale. So we'll be applying the same principles. This has been through collaboration with the local muni, as you've indicated. I think we're also very fortunate, Hugo, in South Africa that the teams from SANRAL, the South African National Roads Agency, and the Roads Agency of Limpopo, combined with the RTMC, the Road Accident Fund, and the rest, have already done significant work in developing their programs. SANRAL and RAL are very active in the school and community catchment areas. They look specifically at elements of traffic calming, and you may well have driven the roads through Limpopo, and you will see that many of the calming areas have received attention, and we're obviously delighted to collaborate with the SANRAL team and the Roads Agency of Limpopo teams, where we will supplement and partner with them on their programs, which have already had significant impact around our schools and communities.
Speak to us about the expected timelines for the rollout of the LRSP projects. Will there be continuous monitoring and evaluation, obviously to measure the effectiveness and impact?
Yeah, certainly will be. So we're just coming up to the end of our first year, which has been around building the relationships and the planning within the Limpopo provincial departments. We have a very strong collaboration agreement with the Office of the Premier, as I indicated. We have very strong collaboration within key departments. So there, Hugo, we're looking specifically at transport, community safety, education, health, which is obviously part of our response to each of the incidents that may well happen within the province. So we will likely run this program for an initial period of 3 years, so that's another 2 years following from our preliminary launch. But the intention of this program is for it to continue under the guidance and under the mentorship and under the leadership of the respective departments in Limpopo. So the Limpopo team have come on board, they've signed their virtual pledge, and they've committed to what our mantra was during our launch, where we've said we need to make sure we each take accountability for getting there safely. So it certainly is really, really rewarding for us to be making progress with the departments, and specifically acknowledging the departments of transport and community safety and departments of agriculture and departments of health, where there is a very strong level of interest in this program and a very strong level of collaboration across the districts of the program.
Dr. James, final thoughts. You've talked about collaboration. Does that collaboration speak to opportunities of employment that have been created for members of the Limpopo community? I mean, we all know too well the numbers around unemployment, particularly where young people are concerned.
Yeah, again, Hugo, excellent example of how this program is looking to create the impact. So the Impact Catalyst works across different areas of our society, including education, including the area of service provision, and also in this particular instance of road safety. So the focus has to be on creating sustainable and long-term opportunities within the province. We are working very closely with our teams at De Beers, so the Venetia mine team, just acknowledging them. We are working closely with them on a program that will look specifically at employment opportunities. We are doing the same with the teams at the Roads Agency of Limpopo and also Sunrail, and looking at opportunities where we can create sustainable work with a focus on either the infrastructure, as you correctly questioned, looking at opportunities where we can bring our teams in. In addition, we have another program on this particular initiative where we will look at community response, particularly in the rural areas. Hugo, very important for us that our first responders are well trained and are available to respond to an incident, particularly if the geography means that we aren't able to get an emergency response vehicle there. So those are the types of initiatives that we are focusing on during this program, and it's a strong collaboration with our partners at the Anglo-American Foundation, the mining houses in the region, and the other sectors of the economy. So we have a number of strong plans in play there, and hopefully we'll see the traction on the ground when we look at the number of jobs created, Hugo, because as you say, that needs to be part of our key focus, particularly in the case of Limpopo, where a number of opportunities will go a long way to helping those communities and helping to make an impact.
Dr. James, lovely to have spoken to you this afternoon. And Dr. Jonathan James, Impact Catalyst LRSP Manager, speaking to us this afternoon.